Instagram, you guys want to pop on over to Facebook. It's the Pitch Queen page. And on YouTube, you guys this is my first time with you. So welcome. I am Michelle, the Pitch Queen. Gretchen, this is Gretchen. I will introduce her in just a second. I want to open up my slides. We did forget to do that.
I am Michelle, the Pitch Queen.
Okay, I hear a bunch of echoing. That's not good. Okay, so if you guys are on Instagram, again, pop on over to Facebook so you can see both of us. We are talking all about sales mindset today. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm just opening up my slides, and then we'll get ready because I almost forgot that. Is it on our list?
Yeah.
I don't know how we forgot it. Okay. All right. We are good to go. So I am going to start from the top. Welcome to Coffee is for Closers. Coffee is for Closers is a fun, interactive live show. Today, we have a special guest, and this month is all about sales mindset, where your mind needs to be before you have a sales call, a sales meeting, a sales pitch, whatever you want to call it. And today is all about sales goals made real with some mindset shifts. And today we have a very special guest who came from someone on my team who helps me write a lot of content because writing is not my expertise. So this is a friend of Jennifer's. Her name is Gretchen Mall. I'm so excited for her to be here. She has a lot of background in NLP, which I think is extremely interesting. Very, very interesting. And, we're going to be here chit-chatting it up for the next 30-ish minutes. And I invite you to ask us any questions that you have as it relates to your mindset when it comes to sales. And if you think selling sucks, selling is sleazy, selling is all of the above and all those words, but you want freedom and flexibility because you want your own business, well, let me tell you, you signed up for a 24/7 sales job. So we are here today, and you all know that if you've been hanging around me for a long time. That is my mission, that when you start your own business, be it a small practice for all my CPAs out there, or, your small health coaching business for all of the health people out there that aren't doctors, but you don't want to work with someone one-on-one for $10 an hour anymore, but you also don't want to go get a job at a hospital. All of these things, you've signed up for a 24/7 sales position at your company. And I know it's sometimes hard to understand that and relate to that, but my goal is that you end up really loving it. So again, this is Coffee is for Closers. This is our 33rd episode. Can you believe it? I have been doing this consistently every single Tuesday at 2 o'clock Pacific time for 33 weeks. I guess I have a certain kind of mindset. So I'm very curious to see what Gretchen thinks about that. So I'm going to share my screen with all of you over on Facebook so you can see. But this is Coffee is for Closers. We are with Gretchen Mall, and we are going to get talking about sales goals made real with mindset shifts. And today we're going to go over a cup of wisdom. If you have your tea, coffee, water, smoothies, cocktails, beer, margaritas, whatever your drink of choice is. Gretchen, what are you drinking over there?
I've got water. It's alkaline water. So fancy.
Ooh, alkaline water. Well, I've got my favorite tea. It's just a black iced tea. So we're going to go over the goals for your business and your revenues, your mindset that you have around your goals. Maybe your goals don't actually ever happen and why that maybe is. And Gretchen can share some tricks on that and tell us why our brains do that. Some tips and tricks to make your goals actually become real, and energy for the soul. So that is our plan for today.
Yay, I'm so excited.
So now let's welcome Gretchen to the show. So welcome, Gretchen. It's so awesome to have you here. Thank you for being here. Here's a little bit about you, but instead of me reading it, can you read it to everybody and tell us just a little bit about yourself, what you do, why you do it, and why you love it?
Yeah, I am not good at reading things, to be honest. Like, I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl. But my name is Gretchen Mall, and holistic sales strategist and NLP practitioner. So kind of what that means is I nerd out to how people's brains work and why that happens. Hi, Instagram. How are you guys? And really getting in depth behind the sales process and how that happens, right? Because if you have ever, I'm sure, watched this show, Coffee is for Closers, or been on a sales call at all, if you have that kind of feeling in the pit of your stomach, like, oh God, I hope they don't answer, or I don't want them to say yes, or whatever your issue is, it's going to come up. Like, I promise you it's going to come up. Entrepreneurship is a good exercise in really going deep.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you said that. If you have the thought that someone's not going to show up to a meeting or not going to show up to a sales call, doesn't that mean that they're usually not going to show up?
Well, it certainly means you're probably not going to get the sale, even if they do show up. I think it's really...
Cheers to that. Cheers.
Right? Absolutely. And the key is, like, there's lots and lots of different ways to sell, right? If you look at even the last 10 years, like, how we buy things has changed so much. And so a lot of times I think we go into business for ourselves and we start these practices and we're like, okay, I'm going to do this, and you think you have to be that, like, used car salesman, ninja chopping everybody's objections, and it really doesn't. In fact, if you get to that point, you're doing it wrong. Like, it shouldn't have to be that, right? And so there's a lot of stuff that you can do in the beginning. Of my huge philosophy is a good defense is a really good offense, right? If you can handle it in the beginning, then you don't have it come up in the end.
Ooh, I like that analogy. We're using football analogies today, you guys. This is going to get good. For all the NFL fans out here, we have a show for you today. So, okay, cool. Well, we're going to go deep into some of this stuff. So if you guys have questions, please put them in the comments below. We will get to questions at the end. So we do a Q&A at the end. If you want all of the replays to this, just type in show in the comments below, SHOW. And if you feel that you want to spread the love, just hit the share button on Facebook and spread the love. So, to recap, Gretchen is a master mindset and sales coach, author, speaker, and dessert whore. I am also, and I love that because I could literally live off chocolate. If I didn't ever have to eat again, I would just eat Justin's dark chocolate peanut butter cups, and I would be good to go.
I love it.
Gretchen is also obsessed with how people relate to each other, which, just to put things in perspective to everybody listening, sales is that. It's about how people relate to one another. And Gretchen also nerds out with journaling, meditating, romantic walks to the bank, and, short meditations and I guess long meditations. So that's pretty cool. I like that. But I think the dessert whore was probably the best part of the whole thing.
Thanks. You got to keep it real.
I know. All right, Gretchen, let's get into some of the depth of what we want to discuss today. And I would say the first one is people set goals, right? I have a lot of calls with people, and they'll tell me their business is at 50,000 in revenue right now, and they want to get to 300,000 by the end of 2018, and they really don't have a plan on how to get there. What do you think the mindset is, or why someone would say something like that, and where do they need to go in their mind in order to actually get the goals and achieve those types of results in a 12-month period? Because to me, that seems really far-fetched to, if you're just at that level. So I'd love to know your take on that.
Well, I think goals are one of those, like, really polarizing words. In fact, I try really hard to not use it, to be honest with you, because, like, anytime you think of goals, you think of, like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds at the gym this year, or I'm going to stop, picking at my nails, or whatever the thing is. And it has such a connotation that we've learned from the time that we're young, right? Like, you turn on the TV in January, they're talking about goals and resolutions and all this stuff. Your brain becomes conditioned to not hit it. Right? And so you do this over and over and over again through your life, and through, especially through childhood, a lot of our stuff is formed that way. And our brains, we get into NLP a little bit, which is neuro-linguistic programming, how our brains, the language is and how it relates to things. Your brain is lazy. It is absolutely a lazy meaning-making machine. And so when you set a goal and you've not hit it over and over and over again, your brain goes, oh, I know how this is going to go. We're not going to hit it. And whether you consciously know it or not, you can self-sabotage into that, right? And then on the flip side, we're so used to goals like not really meaning anything. Like you can just kind of pull one out of thin air, like, oh, I'm going to hit, 300,000 in revenue this year. Right. Like, how you going to do that? I don't really know. And you don't have that plan. And so I think a better way to do it is to really look at the activities that you're doing, because you can't measure who's going to buy. Like, you can't control minutely who's going to buy what. But you can control how many people you talk to a day. Right. You can't control how many people you're outreaching. And if you were to shift your focus into something like that, then the money will be a byproduct.
Okay. So instead of saying your business is going to get to 300,000 this year, it's really having to work backwards and figure out, well, how many people would you need to talk to, or how many customers or clients do you need to even reach that goal, and work it backwards and focus on that and not so much on the revenue side.
Exactly. So like if you know you're closing 1 out of every 5 people and like whatever your numbers are, if you don't know your numbers, that's also a huge problem. But whatever your numbers are, just work backwards, right? So it's like I need to reach out to 10 new leads every week. Right. And focus on doing that. And knowing that, maybe sometimes you'll get to 15, and then maybe 1 week you'll take a couple of days off and you'll only have 5. But if you can make it something that is doable and achievable, right? Our brains, again, those like lazy meaning-making machines, if you get to a point where you're like rattling them off and you're doing 10 every week over and over and over again, suddenly that's not a goal, that's a habit.
Right. So how do you make your brain not lazy anymore? Because you keep saying lazy machine. And I know what I do, but I'm just curious on your take on what do you recommend for people to get their brain actually in a workout every day instead of being a couch potato every day?
That's a great question. And I think it's different for everybody. Like the key is to find what works for you and then keep doing it over and over and over again. For me, that looks like the gym. That's a really, really great place. And I do lots of thoughts. A lot of people do the shower. Like they're thinking in the shower and they're doing these things. I meditate, which is really, really important. I am committed to 10 minutes a day of a good book. Not including like podcasts and stuff, but like 10 pages of something that's going to expand my learning or my business or something.
Cool. No, that's great. So now if we were to go into the mind a little bit more, because we want to understand this NLP stuff a little bit, what kind of mindset do you have to have around having your goals actually become a reality? Because you can say, okay, spend 10 minutes a day, or understand your numbers, or you need, in order to do 300,000 in revenue, you need to talk to 100 people and convert 1 out of 5, whatever the numbers are. But it's one thing to say it, but a lot of people get stopped in their tracks, and it's like they don't even take the action to make that happen.
Yeah, well, anybody who just fell asleep, come back, by the way, all those numbers and stuff. So I'm not a neuroscientist, but this is just like a 3-minute brain synopsis, right? If you look to the oldest part of our brain, it's the amygdala. It's about the size of your fist. That's the part that keeps you alive when a lion is chasing you, right? And it's only looking for things like, is this exciting? Is this fun? Is this dangerous? Is this boring? Right? And then you have the middle part of your brain that develops next, which is where your sense of morality lives and where your emotions live. It doesn't have the capacity for language. So anybody who's ever had that, it just doesn't feel right moment, that came from your middle brain. And then you have your neocortex, which is the outside of your brain. And that's where your deductive reasoning is and your logic. And everybody, like right now, we're talking to you guys through our neocortex, all this logical stuff. And you guys are all filtering it through your amygdala. Is this exciting? Is this fun? Is this something new? Right? Anybody who's ever fallen asleep in the back of a classroom because they just didn't trade and you're like, God, is there wine in my fridge? Like, did I buy milk? Did I leave the coffee pot on? And they're just talking away in the front. It's because your amygdala wasn't tripped. Right? And so you really want to get into like hitting these goals and talking to your people, by the way, and communicating. You've got to trip your amygdala. So how can you reward yourself with something exciting or fun or whatever to keep your brain engaged and keep moving?
So what are 3 ways you can trip your amygdala into not falling asleep on you?
Great question. The first thing I would say would be tie your intentions or whatever it is that you're doing for the day into a reward system. for yourself. So once you talk to those 10 people, what do you get? And it might be like hiding in the closet with a cookie. Like, that's totally fine.
A Justin's peanut butter dark chocolate cup. Does that count?
Totally counts.
I would gain a lot of weight.
Could be going for a walk. It could be standing in nature. It could be going to the spa. Like, it doesn't have to be really, really big things. In fact, I would say something small, like, okay, I'm going to take a break once I hit these 10 things, and I'm going to turn on 10 minutes of a comedy show or something. Another really great way is to put somebody else into it, right? So, using your family or your kids as a kind of motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to do more for other people than you would for yourself, typically.
Yeah. No, that's really good, actually. And again, coming up with like 3 rewards that you can reward yourself, but you also have to set the reward, what do you call it? Trigger.
Yeah, like the level, no cheating. It can't be like, oh, I talked to 8, that's good enough. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah. You have to reward yourself and hold yourself accountable to your rewards.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Are there any other things that we can do, as entrepreneurs and having our own businesses and being solo practitioners out there in the world and not wanting to get a job? Like, what else can we do to strengthen our mindset when it comes to sales? Because there's one thing about waking up every day and having a purpose and doing things, but there's a whole nother thing when it comes to I got to pay my bills this month. I need to, you have this, what I call and what I see in a lot of people, a scarcity mentality. So they want to work with everybody. They want to take on every client. And really it's like they're thinking it's all about them and how am I going to pay my rent and how am I going to pay my employees? But actually they're not getting the results they want.
Yeah, I would say go down the rabbit hole. That's what I call it. So get out a pen and paper because there's something really tangible and there's a lot of science behind this. This isn't like something I made up about taking pen to paper and actually writing things down. So those of you that are resisting journaling, stop it. Like, just go get a pretty paper and the pen that you like. Get out a pen and paper and start writing down all of the ways that you help people. And make sure and put so that. Right? Like, I help people make more sales in their business so that they're able to be at the baseball game on Wednesday nights with their kids.
Yep.
Right? Go down that rabbit hole. Like, I'm an accountant and I help small businesses pay less in taxes so that they have more income available to free up what they want to do or whatever. And just go down that rabbit hole. Like, I do this so that my clients get that. And at least 20. You should be able to come up with like 100, but do at least 20. And every time that you are starting to get into that like panic moment, like, oh God, I got to pay the bills. I got to do this. If you go back and look at that and keep the main thing, which is your clients, you'll always be in the right place.
Yeah, no, I like that. This is something everyone hasn't heard yet. I talk a lot about, saying 100 things I'm grateful for on a treadmill and saying our affirmations. We've talked about that, but this is really good. And saying, I am an accountant that helps my clients do this and all of, what would you call that? What would be a good word to, tell someone who's listening what that would be called?
I always call it going down the rabbit hole.
That's a rabbit hole.
That's the rabbit hole, right? Because our brains are not going to normally connect that. You're going to be like, oh, what do I do? Like, I'm an accountant. I do people's taxes.
Right.
And that isn't as exciting as when you go, well, I do this for people so that they get these benefits. And you probably, realistically, could go 3 or 4 deep, right? Like, I help people make more sales in their small businesses so that their kids can go to private school, so that they get a better education, so that they're safer, so that whatever.
No, this is good. So if everyone's listening, and you have all this time and, this coming weekend, you can actually go and do this exercise because the other part of this whole thing is that if you don't put anything into action, nothing's really going to happen. So how do you get the amygdala to help you get into action?
Well, if the fire in your belly about I got to pay my bills isn't working yet, I think it's about routines, right? If we allow ourselves to rely on our willpower all the time, our willpower will fail, right? If you're sitting there staring at your peanut butter cup all day, every day, how many days until you eat it, right? Like, it's going to happen.
I eat it within 30 seconds if it's staring at me.
right? Like there's no willpower there.
No.
And every time that we're taking an action in life, it is because we're either pain or pleasure, right? Like hope of loss and fear of gain. And if you can change your mindset around this is a painful experience into this is a pleasurable experience, right? That's where like tricking your amygdala and giving yourself rewards and stuff come in. And so I think the key to getting stuff done is to not rely on because your willpower is going to fail, right? Anybody who's ever, here's a great little story. You ever had that moment in college where like you're doing tequila and it's like really, really, really good going down, and then about 12 hours later it's like so not good.
Yeah, you don't feel good. I'm sure everybody listening has had a tequila experience or something like it.
Yeah, a dessert or something, right? And then the next day you're like, oh, I'm never doing that again. And then from that moment forward, if the experience was bad enough, it takes you zero willpower to not have tequila again. They're like, let's do tequila shots. And you're like, nope.
Yeah, I don't do tequila shots anymore.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that ended in college. I think I've been this person you're describing.
I definitely was me at 19. And so
19?
Now,
isn't the legal drinking age 21?
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, okay. That's a very different show. But anyway, carry on.
Right. But so my brain first associated tequila with pleasure, and then after that experience associated with pain. Okay. And it took zero willpower for me to avoid that tequila because it's painful to me now, and I'm just not going to do that. Right.
Yeah.
And so you need to be able to switch those in your mindset as well. So if you're like definitely afraid of making sales calls, for instance, like what can you do to make that shift so that it is no longer the pain, but it turns into the pleasure? Let's
talk about that, because doing sales calls or picking up the phone is, I would think, very difficult, or the thing that's if you've got 10 things on your list to do today, that's probably the last thing you would want to do on your list. So what would you do? What would you recommend for someone that isn't, really ready to go today, and they've got, 20 sales calls they need to make?
Well, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
Right.
So jump in. Like the first time you pick up the phone is going to weigh 100 pounds. I promise you. But as you do it more and more, like the second, third, fourth time, it's going to be an old hat, right? Because you're establishing that pattern. And to be honest, most of what comes up in sales on both sides, whether you're the pitcher or the potential client, is fear.
Right.
Right? Fear of what they're going to say. Are they going to judge me? Are they going to feel like I'm really trying to strong arm them? Are they going to whatever? And then on the flip side, your client is probably a little in fear too. Like, is this really going to help me? Is this going to be a lot of money? Like, I'm a little scared. And so if you can just come, like when your sales calls, right, go back to your list of 20 that you already made and realize that there's only 2 interactions that you're having in life, right? Either faith or love or fear. And if you come from fear, it's all about you. What are they going to say about me? What are they going to think about me? Are they going to whatever? And if you're coming from a place of love, where I'm going to help them keep more money in their business, I'm going to help them live healthier lives, then it's not about you and it's about them.
Yeah. You're preaching. You're reinforcing everything we talk about for the last, few months.
33 weeks. Yes.
Yeah. For the last 30 something weeks, it's been a lot about that. And I love how you're putting it. You either come from a fear or a place of love. And I think that when we come from the place of that we're actually helping people, the fear is actually, you're making it about you. And in a sales position or with your businesses and the services that you provide to people, it really has nothing to do with you. You're just there to provide the service, and you want that freedom. You want that flexibility to have your own schedule and be your own boss and do all of these awesome things. But you're the one in charge of your own clients now. Right?
It's not about you. Right?
No.
Like if you get on a sales call and it's about you, you're doing it wrong. Like it's never about you. Like if you can imagine, every time I do this, I'm holding up a mirror.
Okay.
Right? And I'm just reflecting her things. And I could tell her a million reasons why I think she should buy, but the only one that's valid is the one that's hers.
Right. Yeah, no, it's really, you said it really well. I love that point of view. So yeah, thank you. So what do you think are like, from all of your experiences that you've had and, people you've worked with, what do you believe are the top 3, if you want to call them tips, tricks, secrets, something we haven't already discussed, in not only making and helping others' goals actually become real, but let's say you're in a funk, okay? Because we're humans and we get in funks. At least I still get in funks. So I'm going to assume, because we're all humans, that we're sort of the same and you all get in funks. What are a few things that you think could help you get out of a funk based on the NLP and other, things that you've seen work?
Well, everybody gets that. You're absolutely right. Like, everybody's going to have that day.
I'm not alone. Yeah. Okay, we're all going to have bad days. Got it. Okay.
You're not alone.
Cool.
But the easiest way to get out of a funk is to change your state. Right? And it is so much easier to act your way into a feeling instead of feeling your way into an action. If you wait until you feel like doing it, that ain't never going to come. It's never going to come. Can
you give us an example of what you just said? Like,
absolutely. Like,
give us the last time you were in a funk, like maybe yesterday or something.
Yeah, no, I was like 2 days ago.
Okay.
And my hack is laughing. So I'll get on YouTube and watch something funny. What was I watching? Trevor Noah on Netflix, like a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Just 5 or 10 minutes, because you can come in and out of it and it makes me laugh. But I've done all kinds of things. Like, I've done jumping jacks before sales calls. I've done push-ups before sales calls, dance parties in the kitchen, just kind of whatever it is. I think the key sometimes is moving your body, right? Because when you start moving your body, you get out of your head.
Yep.
So if you really kind of are stuck and it's like, go for a walk, start moving your body, even if that's not, like, you don't have to be a gym crazy person to make that happen.
Yeah, no, it's good. Getting movement is what I'm hearing is the most important. So if it's push-ups, jumping jacks, laughter is still movement, you guys, going on a walk. I like your idea of finding a funny YouTube video. For me, I believe that if I just go to sleep and wake up the next day, I'm like all better. So for me, sleep really works well to get out of funk, because I've had some funky days, It's like the funky people that stink at the gym. It's like you just want that. You just need to like take a shower, Well,
naps are good for that too. Esther Hicks says that all the time. She's like, just take a nap and start over.
I can't take a nap. Why is that? Naps don't work for me. I feel like I have too much going on in my day that if I'm going to miss out on something, I can't take a nap. It doesn't work. I can't shut off my brain. It's like, it will not shut off. It says no. But at around 8 or 9 on a bad day, I'll go to sleep and I'm fine the next morning.
That's perfect. And I think the key is, like, you may not want to do all of these things, but you can find one. Guys, you can find one and do it.
Yeah. All you have to do is take one thing and put in the action today. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. This is not the overwhelm show. This is coffee is for closers. So if you want to close, you got to choose one thing. Espresso helps me. So that's why this is called coffee is for closers. Taking one thing and putting it into action. Gretchen, what else do you think would really help, now that we've talked a few of these different categories, like if you had to sum it all up and give us the top 2 things to start working out our brain every day to work up our strength in our mindset in order to hit our sales goals. And in order to do our sales goals and hit those, we actually have to have our goals met on our sales actions, because if we don't call people and we don't pick up the phone and we don't go to meetings and we want to mope around the house and we don't feel like going to the office because we actually don't have to go to an office at times, or, whatever all these stories are, like, what are the 2 things, if you had to like sum it up, that we might have not heard before that would be really unique and very powerful at the same time?
Number one thing I think that has personally revolutionized my life is breathing. And I know that sounds like super basic, but, in the beginning, I was not a good meditator, as in, like, sitting still for 5 minutes felt really wrong to me. And I would think of all of the things that I could and should be doing instead. And, kind of a Tony Robbins fan, and anybody who's ever been to any of his events, he has this thing called priming where you're breathing and you're moving your arms at the same time. You guys have seen this? And so you're like breathing in and your arms go up and out, and it's all out of your nose, so you have this like thing going on where you're like snotting on your neighbors, and it's kind of hilarious. But if you could do it for even 30 seconds in the morning, there's so many benefits from it, and I have found that I can breathe and like be distracted by the snotting, and my brain gets quiet. And it has a lot of added health benefits, like it moves your lymphatic system, like it's good for you. And it's absolutely going to make your mind-body connection stronger. So breathe is number one.
Okay, got it.
Number two is before you get on your sales calls or before you're getting ready to do these like sales type activities, get an anchor or something where you're having this ritual before you get started, right? Like for me, I close my eyes and I imagine a speedometer, like on my car, right? You've got your tachometer and your speedometer, and I set my intuition to 100 and my ego to 0. Ooh. So that when I'm getting ready, like I am trusting that it's not about me, right? It's always about her, and that whatever needs to be said in that moment, I'm going to know it.
Oh,
and it kind of gets rid of that self-doubt, gets rid of that like, oh God, what if it's about me? Like, nope, you know what? Whatever needs to be said, whatever stories need to be told are going to come to me, and it's about her and it's not about me.
Ego to 0 and speedometer to 100, which is all about your client.
It's the intuition, right? I call it my intuition, but whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, your intuition. Do you know what I do too is I set an intention of what I hope for the person. Do you ever use that or have seen that helpful? Or is that pretty much the same thing?
I would say it's kind of the same thing, right? Because you're looking like you want to do what's best for them, and everybody here is, ethical, and so you're not going to sell them something they don't really need.
Right.
But at the same time, like you want to have the words and find the courage to say, you know what, I think I can really benefit your life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like your car speedometer analogy. That was really good. Do you have anything else that you would love to share that maybe we haven't even talked about yet that you feel you want to end it with? We have a couple more minutes, but I would love to know if maybe there's anything that popped up in your head that you think would be really valuable for people as it relates to our minds and as it relates to our sales-related activities in our businesses.
I think what you're talking about, intention here, is really, really important. We touched on it a little in the beginning, but it's really, really important. Like if you're going through these sales activities and you're like, God, I hope they'll answer the phone, or I hate cold calling, it's not for me, or whatever the thing is, right?
Right.
Like maybe that sales activity isn't right for your business. There's so many different things that you can be doing, and if you've tried it,
yeah.
Okay. We're not knocking things you haven't tried yet. There's a lot of cool technology and stuff you can do. But if you've tried it a couple times and you haven't got results and you still feel gross about it, like give yourself permission to find a new way.
Yep.
Like it's okay to set that intention. Like I want to find more Sally or whatever your clients' names are, and she's somewhere and you're finding more of, like, be okay with finding her in a different way.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because sometimes in business and in life, what we do and how we want it to go doesn't really actually work out, right? So you have to be open to the possibility of actually changing or seeing it from another perspective.
Yeah, like maybe you need to qualify out your clients more before you get on the phone with them. Maybe it's a change in wording on your website, or maybe it's, how you're telling a story slightly different, or you're setting the intention on the call. Like there's so many different pieces to it. Like it's really about kind of trial and error, but give yourself the freedom to play with it. Like this can be really fun, guys. It doesn't have to be this like scared in your boots. Oh God, how am I going to do this? Like I need to pay my bills, so you have to buy something mentality. Like it can be a lot of fun when you get it right.
Can you share about, the scarcity mentality versus the abundance mentality and how the brain works on that?
Absolutely.
Because the people coming from the place, I work with a lot of people, and, the biggest thing is I want to take on every client, and that's how I've run my whole business, even though it doesn't work because I need to pay rent. I've got to pay my employees. How does one really get over that hump to see it from what I call an abundance mentality?
Well,
from your
all
point
of
of
that
view.
stuff, all that stuff you're talking about comes back to the love and the fear thing, right? So that's all fear. Oh God, I have to pay my bills. If I don't take this client, what if there are no more? How can I do this? Like, that's all fear, and that's all about you. And if you can shift, and it does sound counterintuitive, like I promise you, I did not start my business to be about other people. But the truth of the matter is that after you've made a little bit of money, and if you're not there yet, you'll get there, I promise, it has to be about more than just money to keep going, right? So this is about impact, and how can you shift to that place faster? Because if you make it about the impact from the beginning, you're going to make a lot of money from the beginning.
Right.
Okay? So come to that place where you're not in this lack and fear and like, just because I get clients doesn't mean there are no clients for Michelle, and it doesn't mean there aren't clients for Sally, right? Because there's a C for every ass. Like, there's definitely stuff for everybody. And so if you
let's say that one more time, because not everyone might understand that. There is a C.
There's a seat for every ass. Like, everyone's going to sit somewhere.
Okay. I was going to say
this isn't musical chairs. Like, everybody has a seat.
This is not musical chairs. I love that. Yeah, it's not like you have to run around in a circle and your ass is going to be on the ground. This is a auditorium with unlimited seats for unlimited bodies. I love that.
Absolutely. There's enough for everybody. And if you can get to the place where you're in love and collaboration, you're going to watch your business explode a lot more. Because then again, you're keeping the main thing, which is client centric, it's mission specific, or whatever your intention is. But if you take even this show as an example, like, you could be afraid to bring other people on and showcase their ideas, because it could just be about you and your ideas, because you're awesome and it's your business. But the reality is, there's value in other people's ideas and value in other people's things. Just like in everybody's business here, like, you probably aren't going to take on attorney clients when you're not actually an attorney.
Yep.
And that's okay. Like, there's plenty of people you can refer to attorneys. And so just knowing that if you come from a place of love and an abundance mindset, like what you're talking about, but, you know, how are you going to help somebody today? Like, if you wake up every day and you go to your business and you say, whose life am I going to impact and change today? You'll never go wrong.
Right. Yeah, no, you won't. No, and I love how you put that, and I love how you put that this is not musical chairs. I think that's a great visual for you guys to really think about and see and process, because I believe that, you know, when you're starting out in a business, or maybe a year or two in and you're trying to double your revenues, it's like a long way away, right? It's like that rainbow and like this pot of gold is so far away. But, you know, there's chairs for all of us, and really the scarcity is, if you see it as Gretchen just shared, it is all our fears. And that's the place you're coming from. And if you can shift it by doing some of these things we just discussed, 20 push-ups, jumping jacks, writing down, going down the rabbit hole, as you call it, and and writing out the
benefits.
Well, what did you call it? That is, or
no, so that, right?
So that the that statement.
Like, I do this so that
yeah,
my clients get that.
Right. So that statements, which are down the rabbit hole, and then you're in a auditorium with unlimited seats, and when it gets filled up, we just add more seats because there's always a seat for everyone, and that this isn't musical chairs. Then you've got it.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Gretchen, for sharing and being here with us today. It was an honor to have you here. And I'm going to see if there's any questions, but I don't see any.
Awesome. This has been so fun. Like, this is some of all my favorite topics we got to cover here. Like, it's really, really amazing,
you can
guys.
Come back next month if you want.
Score.
What do you guys think? Yeah? I think it was pretty awesome. And I like bringing other guests on because I think, and we've talked about this before, Gretchen, that guesting helps share that a lot of what you said we've already talked about, but you just brought a different perspective to the table, and I think that even just solidifies everything we've already discussed. So not only is it a refresher, but we got to see it from another person's point of view. And that there are so many seats for everybody that I just love to meet new friends. So, and if we can make an impact on one person, and if you guys take action on one thing and, you know, spend the upcoming weekend doing it, then you are good to go. So there are no questions. So I will just say thank you one more time for being here on Coffee is for Closers. It was an honor to have you. We hope to have you on again, and thanks again.
Yeah, the pleasure was mine. Thank you.